To Andy and to Michael, thank you both for your work. It's been a while since I've seen you both. I am a former UFT member, paid my dues regularly. So grateful, grateful to be here and represent social workers and teachers alike. And I just want to know, I have a few questions. I just want to know, how can we at the state assist with the United Community Schools? I want to know, what have you guys done to help social workers obtain their continuing ed credits? Either be financial or bring the trainings to the schools, like whatever it is. And then how can we like encourage more teachers and staff to get involved politically, because their voice needs to be heard. Like you guys know, I understand what it means to be one of them, because I was, but a lot of the members may not. So I would love to see more engagement from them. So how can we help you with the United Community Schools? What are we doing to help social workers with their continuing ed credits? And how can we get more people involved? And community schools work, and they work. Just so you guys.
We're very proud of our United Community Schools. I was out in Queens on Saturday. Why? Because when we do a vaccination clinic at a United Community Schools, we get 300 students. That's not normal. Most times you see, I won't name other agencies, they put up their vaccination clinics. They don't get nowhere near that number. Why? Because we're part of the community and we do outreach and we talk to the parents and we do all of those things. That's the whole basis and of everything we do with United Community Schools. It's not what you would call a normal community school model. We want to be part of the community. So now the UFT's UCF, United Community Schools, is now working with a school in Albany. So we have a school in Albany that we're working with, and we're seeing great results already. And it's really been quite a lot of fun and a lot of energy. But that takes work. So what we really need to do is, that's a program we know that works. So how do you take that program and make it available to the entire state? We'd be more than happy to help people learn how to do that work, to train what is known as a school facilitator, to get that person in place, and then to really work at digging in and becoming part of the actual community. In terms of the social workers, as you know, this is a constant challenge. Last year, we had funding from the state and the city council. We had a really hard time just filling the slots that we were able to get both entities to fund. So now it comes down to, all right, now it's more to me about how do we streamline the process for people who want to become social workers, people who may already be teachers or be in another role inside of a school system. We should be able to streamline the process, working with higher ed, and say, you don't have to start all over again. I mean, they already do not have to, but this should be an easier way to do this because there's a need there. There's a real need there. And in terms of political activity, there's a difference between political activity for political purposes, ideological purposes, and political activity for the profession of public education. And, we have a lot of political activity, but a lot of it, a lot of our loud political activity is ideological. But the thing is, the same thing you're talking about is what we struggle with. We want folks to understand. And when teachers talk about testing, then they were out in droves and fought back against testing that was being used wrongly. Things that they know are actually going to be wrong inside of a school are things they're going to do, but that takes an education process. And it's really about having folks like you talk about how you now can make a difference, because you do. And it's.
Good afternoon, Chancellor. I just want to say thank you for coming to my district at the beginning of the year as you started your new term. We visited Concourse Village Elementary. Just so you are aware that I want to plug CTE Schools, Academy for Careers in Television and Film. That is a school that I was the social worker in. CTE schools work, community schools work, okay? So I just want to say that CS55 is a community school and is doing amazing work in the Bronx. And just so you know, your former school is also in my district, Law, Government, and Justice. So please come with me to visit, and we'll make sure to make a great impact on those students.
Yes.
I know that Black male teachers make a difference. And I just want to know from you, how are we getting more male teachers Black male teachers into our schools, working with our young people, and what are we doing about financial literacy? So those are my two things. Oh, and I know that you have your superintendents and your executive superintendents reapplying, but I have to say that Executive Superintendent Tobias does an amazing job in the Bronx, and the families are very appreciative, myself included, are very appreciative of the work that she has done. So I just want to say that. But financial literacy and Black male teachers.
I appreciate that, Assembly Member. I appreciate you, and would love to go and visit my original school where I was a principal of the Bronx School for Law, Government, Justice. Is near and dear to my heart. Let's do that together. So we'll get that on the calendar. And when we visited Concourse Village, we also visited P17X, which is District 75 school, and they were extremely happy because they said that they're generally overlooked. And in this administration, we want to make sure that they're not overlooked. And so I want to continue to make sure that we lift them up as well. Part of this whole reimagining of how we want to do school is about financial literacy. It's about making sure that our kids understand what the world of work looks like, how they can take care of themselves. We should be ashamed if we're graduating kids who don't even know how to open up a bank account. You know, we should be ashamed if we're graduating kids and we're giving them a high school diploma from our public schools, and they have no idea what a state senator does or an assembly person does. And I will tell you, most of our students have no clue. And yet we've made in New York City over $300,000 investment from the time they were in pre-K all the way through 12th grade. They don't have skills to get a job and step into industry, which is crying out for them. Many of them, even many who we send to college, come back home within a year or two and don't even have the college degree to pay off the debt that they've accumulated. They're not actively engaged as citizens. We lament the fact that all across America, so many Americans don't even get engaged and vote. They don't take their rightful place in this American society. And I'm a firm believer that is because we don't build that muscle in the pre-K to 12 space. There should be student government in every single school, every elementary, middle, and high school. If we want to have standardization in our schools, we should make sure that every one of our kids goes to one of your town halls before they graduate to understand what it is that you do. How does government work? And how does it affect their lives? I'm not talking about just a civics class. I'm talking about civic experiences that make a difference. Workforce opportunities that make a difference. Otherwise, what we're doing is we're playing around at school. And we send kids to school, and when it's all said and done, they don't know a whole lot. I'm committed to doing much better in that space. That's the reason I came here. I didn't come here to play around to just be the chancellor. I came here to try to help kids have a much more meaningful impact and experience in school, so they understand why did they go to school in the first place. There's a reason why so many of our kids are disengaged, because we're not providing them with the right school experience that makes school meaningful and relevant in their lives. And that's on us. And I'm putting that on me. But I'm going to need all of you to help me to create a brand new school experience for our kids. Otherwise, we can just continue to play around in the margins. We get the math scores to go up a couple of points, ELA points go up a couple of points. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a transformational school experience where young people come out very different and can take their rightful place in society. That's what I'm committed to.
Good afternoon, chairs. Good afternoon, Madam Commissioner. And thank you to your staff. As young as I may look and seem, I've spent 16 years working in high schools, lastly as a high school social worker. So my passion lies, of course, in mental health. But I also want to ask, is there anything that we're doing specifically for school social workers with help with their continuing education credits? I'm just going to ask all my questions really quickly and then you can go through them.
Sure.
And I know that when I was in schools, we did implicit bias training. I'm just wondering, is that something that is statewide, that is required statewide? And if not, what are your thoughts on that? I missed the part about the AG and the school food, school meals. So I just want to know why that was switched and who made that decision. And then what are we doing to properly detect and provide services for students with autism. I heard a lot about dyslexia, but as a proud aunt of a child with autism, I would love to hear what steps we are taking in that direction. There's a lot of complaints that ID75 schools are not prepared to deal with, students who have autism. So I would love to hear anything on that front. And then I know you touched this a little bit, but I just need to know if there are specifics. Even if you can't answer it now, maybe we can meet later at a different time to talk about this. But what are we doing to recruit teachers of color, specifically Black male teachers, to look like our Black boys, because we are failing them. They are first to be expelled, suspended, drop out, less likely to take advanced placement classes or IB classes. So I would love to hear what are we doing to recruit Black males, specifically teachers of color. And if we can't talk about that now, feel free we can talk about it at any point. And thank you.
Okay, so I know that I have staff taking notes on the recruitment. I'm going to tie the recruitment to the looking at African American males, and you're absolutely right. It's one of those studies that's been done, for young men of color, and how they are overrepresented in suspensions and in other ways. So what I would say is the major investment all of you have made is in My Brother's Keeper, right? And that is an incredible, powerful way to take young men and young women now, they've joined, and to really help them not only believe in themselves, but also they have mentors. We do all kinds of, whether it's situations that we engage them in really finding their voice and being very much a part of civic engagement in a very positive kind of way. And we're hoping many of those will become our future teachers. So that is a pipeline that we're very much excited about. Some of your other questions, again, I know we're out of time. More than glad to be specific about the issue of social workers and the kind of training we support them with, and also the issue of beyond recruitment. Autism, that is something that we, as a department, we're working very closely with our school districts and how to support our young people, particularly to stay in less restrictive environments than more restrictive environments. So more than glad to take all your questions and follow up.